Before we get into today's video, I do want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere, in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all had a wonderful week. I hope everybody's getting geared up for a good weekend. I hope y'all are going to get outside. Hope y'all are going to be drinking y'all's water, taking care of yourself, reaching out to your family, your close friends, and getting ready to have a wonderful weekend. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a situation that happened in Minnesota last year, which as of me filming this was 2023. And this situation has to do with a set of twins. Now, I'm sure some of y'all watching this is a twin, and I'm sure some of y'all watching this have twins as your children. And I remember specifically, I had a really good friend in South Florida who was a twin. She was a teacher and her sister was a teacher. They both taught at the same school. They dressed the same, even as adults from being children. They continued to dress the same. When one got pregnant, the other one got pregnant. When one got married, the other, they really were just kind of in sync with pretty much everything that they did. And I just thought it was very, very interesting. It's like I found myself trying to find the differences between them because these two twins in particular really leaned into the whole idea of them being twins are the same. You know, sometimes twins want their own identity, but they kind of leaned into being the same. So it was very interesting. Now, as you can imagine, these particular people that I'm talking about that were twins, they were very protective of each other. And I know that most siblings are. And so I want to ask y'all a question of how far you would go to protect your sibling. And what if it was your identical twin? How far would you go to protect them? Would you be willing to lie for them, even if that means that you'd be in serious trouble yourself? This is the story of Samantha and Sarah Peterson. Before we go any further, I did want to stop and thank today's sponsor, Upside. The free Upside app gets you cash back on daily essentials like gas, groceries, and dining. There are over 100,000 gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants on the Upside app. That ensures that cash back is always just around the corner. And yes, it is real cash back. There is no confusing reward programs or trying to earn certain types of credits or anything like that. You will get real cash back deposited right into your Upside app, which from there you can transfer into your bank account or onto a gift card to some of your favorite places. I've been using the Upside app for a couple years now, and it has honestly gotten even easier with time. I mean, literally all I do is if I'm going to a gas station or if I'm going to a restaurant, I mean, even Chipotle is on here, you guys. I love Chipotle, and I can earn cash back from ordering the food and paying for the food that I'm already going to order and pay for anyways. Nevertheless, let's say I'm going to get gas. I just pull up my Upside app and see what all different places are in that area. What I have to do is click on the gas station that I want to use. I click claim, and then I pump my gas, and then in a day or two, the money that I have earned goes directly back into my Upside app account. And as you guys can see, I have $61 in my Upside account, and I can either transfer it to my bank account right up here or to any of these other places. And top Upside earners are making as much as $300 a month. Just click the link in the description box to download the free Upside app. Use my code Christina Randall and you can get 25 cents per gallon back on your first tank of gas. Yes, all you gotta do is download the Upside app or click the link in my description box. Use my code Christina Randall and you can start earning today. Thanks again, Upside. I'm going to be popping up pictures here and putting the names underneath them because they're identical twins. And so you guys can kind of keep it together here. So Samantha Peterson is 35 years old and she lives in Kellogg, Minnesota. Samantha has an identical twin sister named Sarah Peterson. Samantha and Sarah are very, very, very close. and pretty much as close as any siblings could possibly be, I guess. And the fact that they're identical twins made them like literally inseparable. Now, science says that identical twins share a special connection because they have a literal genetic connection, more so than just regular siblings. However, there aren't many scientific studies that can confirm this, but twins often say that they experience enhanced emotion or physical connections. They say that they can tell when something is wrong with their other twin, mentally, physically, and some would even describe it as like a twin telepathy. And I've seen like all kinds of videos online of parents taking their twins and putting something in between them and asking them like a number to hold up a number on their hand, and the twins will hold up the exact same number. So maybe that's how Samantha and Sarah felt about each other. Now, there isn't a whole lot of information out there about them before this incident that we're going to talk about today. Other than that, both Samantha and her sister both worked at this grocery store named Hy-Vee. So the two sisters both work at this grocery store, and both of them also have criminal records. In October of 2015, Samantha was convicted of drunk driving, and in August of 2018, she was convicted of impaired driving while under a control substance. She has also been arrested for giving a false name to law enforcement. Sarah was convicted of conspiracy to distribute controlled substance in 2022. She was sent to prison for a short time for this, and she is currently on parole. Then, just 4 months later, from that, something terrible would happen. On September 25th of 2023, just before 8:30 a.m., Samantha was driving her silver SUV when she was in a car crash with an Amish horse-drawn buggy. Now, the impact of this crash was so powerful that it shot the buggy into a ditch, and it ended up ending the horse's life that was pulling it like that. Now, there was also 2 children that lost their lives. There was an 11-year-old Rachel Miller and a 7-year-old Samuel Miller. 2 others that were in this buggy were injured as well, and that was a 13-year-old who ended up going to the hospital with facial injuries, and a 9-year-old boy who had a broken shoulder, internal injuries, and bleeding to his brain, and a concussion. All 4 of these little ones were on their way to school that morning. Now, Samantha immediately called 911, and then she called her twin sister, Sarah. Sarah arrived at the crash and shockingly told the police that she was the one driving the car, not Samantha. Samantha told the police that she had just gotten there after getting a call from her sister, Sarah. Just so we're not confused here, Samantha was the one driving the car or the SUV. She gets into the accident. She immediately calls 911. She calls her twin sister. Her twin sister shows up. The police end up showing up. And now the twin sister, Sarah, is telling the police that she was the one driving. Okay, they switched identities of who was driving and crashed into the buggy. Now, the witnesses told the police that the driver was a blonde woman wearing a Hy-Vee shirt. They also said that there was another woman there that looked exactly like the other woman who just kind of appeared out of nowhere on the scene of the accident. Now, when the officers arrived, Sarah was wearing a black coat and black leggings. Samantha was wearing a red shirt that looked consistent with a Hy-Vee employee uniform, but then she changed into a black tank top. Then when the officers asked Sarah for her ID, again, Sarah's the one telling the cops that she was driving, she said it was in the back of her black SUV, not the silver one that was actually involved in this accident. When they asked her, why is your ID in the back of her car? Sarah said that after the crash, she put her ID in Samantha's car, which she admitted that that vehicle was actually her vehicle, but she told the police that they switched vehicles just for the day, which the cops were probably like, okay, so you were here, you weren't, your ID is in the back of her car, but that's your car, but y'all switched cars. The cops had to be like, oh my goodness, what is going on here? Now, Sarah kept insisting that she was the driver of the silver SUV that was involved in this accident. Sarah even went as far as to tell the officers that she didn't feel like she had done anything wrong, but that she knew that she had hit someone lost their lives, and that she was going to have to deal with that for the rest of her life. However, what the ladies/twins didn't know was that the officer had a recording device, and it was sat down, and when he walked away, Sarah and Samantha continued to talk. On the recording device, they caught Sarah saying, "I think that one of the guys is on to me, but I don't really care. There's no way they would ever know the difference between the two of us, so they can't tell." After hearing that recording, investigators quickly realized that Samantha and Sarah had lied to them, and that Samantha was really the one who was driving the silver SUV during this crash. This is when the investigators started looking for evidence to prove this and prove that it was Samantha that was actually driving and not Sarah.
At first, officers thought that Sarah Peterson was driving the motor vehicle, and after a variety of checking out the situation, they later on believed that Samantha Peterson was the driver.
Mind you guys, Sarah was on parole. She had just gotten out of prison not too far before this incident. They didn't understand why she would just take the fall for her sister, Samantha. But when the investigators went and spoke to the district store manager of that Hy-Vee store that Samantha and Sarah both worked at, the investigators found out that they believed that Sarah would take the fall for Samantha because Samantha had taken care of Sarah's children when Sarah went to prison. Then the investigators ended up finding out that Samantha had actually called the HR department at Hy-Vee not long after the crash and told the manager, y'all. She calls after the crash. She calls HR. She's on the phone with the manager and says, "I effed up. I just killed 2 Amish people. They were little ones. I just hit an effing buggy. I'm not sober. I'm actually high on meth." Literally, you had to have been completely twisted in another universe to do any of this anyways. But then to call the HR department at your work. Anyways, the court documents also show that the investigators recovered even more incriminating messages from Samantha. A friend had texted her about the crash, not knowing at the time that Samantha was involved. And Samantha responded to this friend saying, "I don't think you realize that I did that. I hit that Amish buggy, and I'm the one that ended up ending the life of 2 people. I made Sarah take the fall for it so I wouldn't go to prison." Security footage from the day of the crash shows Samantha leaving the parking lot of the store that they work at in a silver SUV at 7:58 a.m. The crash happened just before 8:30 a.m., and it only takes about 25 minutes to get from the scene of the crash to the store where she was seen on the security footage. Then, when the investigators listened back to that 911 call that came from Samantha's phone, they could hear Samantha saying, "I didn't see them coming up over the hill," seemingly admitting that she was the one driving. The investigators then executed a search warrant at Samantha's home on September 26th, which was the day after the crash, and Sarah answered the door and said Samantha had moved away. Now, during this search, however, investigators found Samantha inside the home. Samantha gave her phone to the investigators and provided a blood sample. The results of the blood sample ended up coming back and showed that she did, in fact, at that time, have in her system, as well as Delta-9 THC. Some people believe that this is the reason why Sarah was so willing to take the fall for her twin sister, Samantha. Now, if you remember, Samantha had already been convicted twice of a DUI at this time, and now she had just killed 2 little ones. The next day after this, a social worker shows up to the school of Sarah's 13-year-old daughter and said that the daughter admitted to her my mom wasn't the one driving. She drove to the scene after the crash happened. The investigators also found that Samantha had Googled things on her phone like, what happens if you get in an accident with an Amish buggy and kill 2 people? Like, how much more, precise do you have to be about your Google searches? Literally, if this wasn't such a serious and devastating situation, they could be, especially Samantha, one of the dumbest criminals on the face of the earth so far. One of them. There's a lot of them out there. She also Googled how to lock an iPhone that cops have. And she Googled, if you hit a buggy and kill 2 people, are you going to prison? Now, a crash reconstructor proved that the driver of the silver SUV was traveling between 63 and 71 miles per hour at the time of the crash, even though the speed limit was 55 miles per hour. The view on the road was clear for about 1,452, I believe it was, feet before the crash scene, and there was no obstructions in the way. So over 1,400 feet, completely clear. She should have been able to see the buggy. At this point, Samantha has been charged with 21 counts, including criminal vehicular manslaughter, DUI, leaving the scene of a crash, failing to provide insurance, careless driving, and speeding. Sarah is now facing more than a dozen felony charges for taking responsibility for criminal acts and aiding an offender after attempting to deceive the police. Now, something I just could not wrap my mind around is the fact that they have been charged, but they have not been arrested. Okay. And I'm trying to figure this out. What? What do you mean? They're charged, but they haven't been arrested. I found an article, and I'll pop this piece up here, that said that the charges basically were not significant enough to warrant an arrest. And I'm like, what? In my unprofessional opinion, please go do your own research, form your own opinion, and they have not been arrested yet. So I'm going to give you guys my opinion if everything that we have heard is true. Okay. And I pull all my sources from public sources. You can go and find them yourself on the internet. And again, make your own opinions. Just don't be ugly to anybody anywhere. But I'm thinking these are dangerous women if this is true. Okay, this is somebody that just continues to do these things. And now 2 little ones have lost their life driving under the influence again. And that has not, in those charges, has not warranted enough for an arrest. I can tell you guys without a shadow of a doubt, if they were in Florida, they'd have been arrested. They'll arrest you here for driving on a suspended license. That's it. Just drive. If your license is suspended and you get pulled over, you're going to jail. That's it. You ain't even got to be doing nothing wrong. Maybe it's a traffic stop. Maybe you got your seatbelt on, doing 2 miles under and everything. You're going to jail. The family of these little ones that unfortunately lost their lives, and the surviving ones ended up going to the hospital, they do have a GoFundMe set up, and they are grateful for any support and all support.
It's hard to go on without the rest, and yet we feel God has helped us, and He knew we needed Hannah. She flew, I'm not sure how far, on the pavement, and the angels were protecting us. She had blood on the brain, concussion head, fractured skull. She had a fractured pelvic, a fractured arm, a broken leg.
And there she sits?
There she sits.
Wow.
She's doing amazing.
And
Wow.
the community is a lot larger than I ever imagined because of the people outside of the Amish pitching in and helping in a lot of different ways.
My heart just hurts. Listen, you guys, accidents happen every day. Okay, they do. Unfortunately, they do. But this seems like such a reckless situation. I mean, again, how out of your mind do you got to be calling HR, texting people, your friends texting you, oh my gosh, did you hear about that devastating buggy crash where the two little ones, I mean, they lost their lives, and you literally text them back and say, you don't know that's me? I did that. Like, you got to be in another zone. And from what I could find, the women have court in the end of March of this year, their first appearance, and the other one has court in April. I will be surprised if they show up at court. I don't know, we'll just see. I just can't believe it. I cannot believe that this does not warrant an arrest. Maybe I don't understand. Maybe y'all can help me learn something that I don't know in the comment section of why the law is that way in Minnesota. But to me, that's disturbing and nerve-wracking. And it would make me feel unsafe as a citizen driving on the road, knowing that you could literally push it that far, do all of that, and still it's not enough to be held in a place where you can't hurt anybody else. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I am definitely going to be following this. Very sad. Very, very sad. And I do hope the family heals. They do sound like they're doing the best that they can. And the other little ones who have lived that experience, y'all let me know what you think. I will leave the GoFundMe as long as it's still active down in the description box if you want to go and read it and maybe even donate. Love you guys. Thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to go outside and drink your water, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Love you guys. Bye.